be interrogating a bit of that also as we come for the second round. But the fundamental argument I've heard this week is that for those who support what NDC had done is that if you cannot raise 400,000 plus 20,000 to file and pick for, to run on the ticket of the NDC, then you have no business even seeking to be president.
Interesting. There's a lot of literature out there, a lot of research material on this matter we are dealing with today by many of our civil society groups, think tanks, CDD, IED, many of them over the last 10, 15 years, because this debate has been going on for a long time. And last night, when I got the topics, I decided to do some checks. But the question you asked, I wasn't going to start from there, but because you asked that question, I might have to read this thing. This is a paper by the CDD. It's in the name of Professor E. Jima Woody. It's titled State Funding of Political Parties in Ghana. It was published in the Critical Perspectives, number 24, October 2009. Very interesting response to your question. He says, revenue, and I'm cutting it short because of time constraint, revenue and other core resource mobilization skills are surely key credentials needed for effective governance in a democracy or any type of government. Lacking the ability and creativity to mobilize funds and other resources in lawful and legitimate manner should disqualify any person or party from seeking the mandate to govern a whole country, especially a resource-scarce, quote-unquote, one such as Ghana. Then we put in brackets this interesting one. It is fair to ask the question, it's just asking the question, what business do you have setting yourself up as a political party to seek our mandate to govern if you are an uninventive, uncreative, taxpayer handout dependent type of political party or candidate? Perhaps it is best to let the political marketplace decide by itself which parties remain economically viable. In a way, it answers your question. Yeah. I'm not saying I agree. I'm just telling you that out there, there's a lot of literature that has attempted to interrogate these issues, and the people come from different perspectives. So there are people who definitely disagree with this thing that has been captured here, but it's actually a real concern or response to some of the issues. See, Asidu Nketia makes the point about social democracy is not what synonymous to poverty. I'm not sure I'm quoting him exactly. I've always been articulating another view. I'm a socialist. Right now, just, a lot of my No, I'm a socialist, essentially. Indeed, I'm a Marxist. But reality check has made me a realist in terms of how I pursue my politics. And I've always been saying that socialism is not about sharing poverty. It is about promoting collective prosperity. But you see, in our country, and with some last 30, 40 years, because of how some people painted the picture of socialism, to show that you are a dedicated socialist, you have to wear Afromosis. You have to wear Adwayanke. You have to grow beard like Osama bin Laden.
Do Afro.
And all those things. That was a distortion of what essentially socialism, or if you like, the downgrade social democracy meant. And so I appreciate where Asidu Nketia was coming from. In essential sense, he was saying what I say, what I believe in rather. See, if you look at the scale, and I'm going to be very controversial, and perhaps, people will find it problematic. If you look at the scale of what the NDC is talking about, and I have no means of disputing what they are saying, even though I haven't done all my research properly. They are talking about 300,000 delegates. Am I right?
Yeah, plus, in fact.
They are talking of people voting at 275 constituencies across the length and breadth of this country. They're also talking about some electoral commission fee, which I haven't double-checked, I have to be honest with you, in terms of its exactitude. I know electoral commission charges some fees, but I haven't checked the 3,000 per constituency. That's quite huge if it is. Yeah. And then other logistics.
I said Ketia puts the cost of organizing everything at 8 million.
Yeah, we need to verify and double-check it, but that's a huge figure.
Yeah.
Where is that money going to come from? If you look at the scale, the scope, the coverage, then I think 420,000, that's putting the two together, is understandable. It might be problematic to you. It may pose a challenge, but it's understandable to me. In this same document that I read earlier, and there's another one I'll refer to, Professor Jima was talking about the, let's say, in the light of above submissions that I read, the following as options for effectively funding Ghanaian political parties are offered, of course, with an emphasis on private funding, because this paper appeared not to be too comfortable with state or public funding of our parties for good reasons, and they outlined them. It says funding of political parties must necessarily begin with party membership, leadership, and chief promoters. Parties must be funded in the first instance by their own membership through dues and other membership donations. It is best that this is done through regular payment of dues, perhaps on a monthly basis, and frequent grassroots fundraising events like small stakes rifles, sales from bread and kinky or groundnut cakes made by members. That's the primary source. And he emphasizes private funding as opposed to state public funding. Now, there's another research document, and it's a very important one. Again, CDD was involved, but this was done by citizen viewers. I'm not too sure, so you don't mind if I
please
respond to this question by first citing what the CDD said. And as I said, there are different people with different opinions on this matter, but this is an authoritative document, so I like to go about it. It says revenue and other core resource mobilization skills are surely key credentials needed for effective governance in a democracy or any type of government. Lacking the ability and creativity needed to mobilize funds and other resources in a lawful and legitimate manner should disqualify any person or party from seeking the mandate to govern a whole country, especially a resource-scarce, quote-unquote, one such as Ghana. In brackets, it says, it is fair to ask the question, what business do you have setting yourself up as a political party to seek our mandate to govern if you are uninventive, uncreative, taxpayer handout dependent type of political party or candidate? Perhaps it is best to let political marketplace decide by itself which parties remain economically viable. It proceeded to give options in terms of sources of resource mobilization or party funding, at least the immediate primary one. And they said, funding of political parties must necessarily begin with party membership, leadership, and chief promoters. Parties must be funded in the first instance by their own membership through dues and other membership donations. It is best that this is done through regular payment of dues, perhaps on a monthly basis, and frequent grassroots fundraising events like small stakes raffles, sales from bread and kinky or groundnut cakes made by members. This primary. I suppose that if you are an aspirant aspiring to lead a party, that's obvious that you are a member of the party. 2, if the party imposes a certain, conditions which you must fulfill relative to a special resource mobilization, and you are doing it, I suppose it's captured within the context that I've painted here. So that's my view. Now, I made a point about Asidu Ketia talking about social democracy being synonymous with poverty. And I didn't like to repeat this, but if it wasn't heard, I would want to. I made a point that I, as a socialist, if you like a Marxist, though a realist in terms of my political practice, I believe that socialism is not about sharing poverty. It is about promoting the collective prosperity of the society and our people. The distortion came about because you had all sorts of characters who jumped onto the revolutionary bandwagon years ago and were given the impression that to prove that you are a socialist, you have to wear Afro-Moses. I'm sure if you know what Afro-Moses is. Yeah. Or Ajwa Yankee. It should be a very popular dress. Or you grow Osama bin Laden type of beard. Those were just distortions. But the bloody truth is that political party financing is hugely expensive. And if you look at the NDC's option, the scope, the coverage, the scale of what they are going to hold, we are told is of 300,000 plus delegates across the 275 constituencies. Transportation, logistics, media work, advertising, all those things. Huge. Nobody should underestimate that. So you definitely need some money to run that process. Perhaps even a little left to go beyond it for some other good reasons. To that extent, if you hear the 420 and you put it in context, I say it's understandable. It might be problematic to some people, but I think it's understandable. I think it makes sense to me. And that's where the argument lies. And this is not a new debate. I was going to go to Westminster document, which I said is also in collaboration between CDD and them. And it's titled The Cost of Politics in Ghana. What I found interesting, they did a survey, a research, between 2012 and 2016. And they realized that 2012 election expenditure compared to 2016 election expenditure, the expenditure increased by 59%.
59%.
And then I'll go to the document itself. On page 5, executive summary. It says on average, candidates needed to raise 389,803 Ghana cedis, approximately then 85,000 US dollars, to secure the party primary nomination and compete in the parliamentary election in their constituency. If the cost of politics rises to unaffordable levels, the danger is that politics becomes the domain of the elite and wealthy, and that the motivation and incentives of the MPs move from serving the public to recovering their own investment. Yeah. These are hard facts. But you see, I find it interesting. Between 2012 and 2016, expenditure for running for public office increased by 59%. Now check the figure here, that on the average, candidates were raising 389,000 plus.
Okay. And these are seeking members of parliament?
Yes, the study breaks down the various costs involved in seeking public office in Ghana. Okay. To do this, over 250 aspirants, candidates, and sitting MPs were surveyed about their experiences in the 2012 and 2016 elections. This is the scale. The people they interrogated or interviewed. And I'm saying that if by 2016, the last election, it was 389,000 plus on average each candidate spent. What is 420?
In 2018.
You see where we are? Yeah. So it's an issue that has been challenging us for a long time. That's why the idea of state funding or public funding of parties came in. But that is controversial.
Right.
And this same paper here, both papers here, raise all the challenges as to the dangers involved even in that. Yeah. I'm told there's a country, I've forgotten immediately, There's a country where to register, when you register, you are given 20 million. That's dollars.
Yeah.
But then they realize that some parties, they register to get the 20 million. And within 3 months, they are back.
But time was in this country when parties got vehicles from the electoral commission. And we know even that was abused.
From 92,
Yeah.
92
People form parties just for the get a car.
Yes, you get it, then you dissolve the party.
And then dissolve the party.
No serious regulation as to tracking and monitoring so that perhaps the vehicles or the logistics could be retrieved. They were not retrievable. You get a point. So to be honest, that issue has become a very critical one. What is the way forward? Because in both documents, it is indicated that this also can breed political corruption. It's indicated. There's an honest admission that when you allow, because this right now what I read is like restrictive to party membership. I think I can go along with that. But you see, I just noticed, Doc, when Felix mentioned the chairman, chairman, who is a businessman.
Yeah.
But you see, he's a hybrid here.
He's a member of the party.
He's a member of the party.
Yeah.
And he's a businessman. Commonsensically or logically, or if you like, you can speculate that, look, but the man is doing this in anticipation of recovering his investment. How would that be recovered? Through corrupt means or through legitimate means? Don't forget, it can be legitimate means.
Yeah.
The business that he has can bid and win contracts in order to get back. The point is that we don't have much trust in our institutions of states that we have set up to monitor and evaluate these things. For instance, even the EC, in terms of audited accounts that the parties must send to. They send. Some send. I have some documents here, 2000 to 2009, and then 2015 to 2012 to 2015. There are still omissions. Some parties do, some don't. But it isn't that very effective in terms of the capacity to monitor. And even the sources of the funding, whether the parties will tell you the entirety of their sources. These are real difficulties. So we have a challenge. How do we go about it? I'm sure when we move further, solutions will be provided. Because here, in these two documents, they provided prescriptions, a wide range of prescriptions. Some may be acceptable, some may be unacceptable. But I want to be very fair on this matter. And again, it comes back to the way we play our politics. See, for instance, the state funding thing, when the NPP were in opposition together with us, we're all for state funding. Indeed, President Kufuor, in his first State of Nation address to Parliament, raised it and said we should work on it. Subsequently to that, nobody did anything, even from the incumbent side. It was now the NDC that opposed state funding, and this is Hansard from December, this is 1999, for all the debates that went on, from December 2nd to December 20th. Mr. Bagbin, Obeda Samoa, all of them were in Parliament. Virtually everything they said was...
Bagbin opposed it?
Yeah. He was there. He makes the point. He says it's not...
I was just coming to ask you your reaction to his comment.
He says we're not ready for that kind of...
well, in 2018, he says that NDC is being sold to the highest bidder because of 400,000.
Well, they may not be the same. That is, if you think state funding was inappropriate or not ready, we're not ready for it in 1999. I'm not too sure whether...
Maybe he may have changed his stance.
Yeah, but I'm not too sure that saying NDC is being sold to the highest bidder is synonymous with declining state. I mean, I want to be precise.
Some say if there's state funding, then the party will not need this much from them.
Yes, and even then, state funding, as I said, has become a controversial subject.
Yeah.
What mode? How much? What kind of state funding?
You see,
we talked of state, and sometimes we interchange it with public, even though there are people who think it's not, in terms of exactitude, it's not the same. But the idea was that over the period, you mentioned the vehicles, that NIVA, I think was from one of the Eastern Bloc countries.
Yes.
Then we had also access to radio and TV for some campaign messages, So those were the public funding, the limit at which people were ready to accept. Question, how much money do you give to a party? Where is that money put? So there were all sorts of proposals that private sector could be invited to donate to a specific central location. And parties then get from a central authority, that has been maybe the EC or any other body, how do you go about it? The issue was representation in parliament.
Yeah.
What if there's a new party that has been formed, has no representation in parliament? They won't qualify for that funding, at least for the first stage. So these are major issues, very articulate, look, well articulated in thousands of literature. The problem I have with this country is that we talk too much and we do very little. I'm being honest with you. Many of the things we are seeing here have been articulated over and over. I only see a situation where the major parties, when they are in government, they are not interested or they are less inclined to join.
Why do you think that is the case?
Because perhaps when they are in government, it's easy to mobilize money.